What's up, Tweener? Welcome back to another Tweener Tennis video today here on the channel. And today we have another very special interview for you guys today. Today we have David Sammel, who is Liam Broady's head coach. And he's been working with Liam for almost a decade now. And the insight that he's providing for us and just in general is unbelievable. And it's something that you guys should really, honestly, if I was watching this, I would be taking notes. But David is such an impactful coach. He's written many books. He's a coach, author, writer, even writes for Tennis Head as well. David is a contributor to the entire tennis community on every platform possible. So it was amazing to have him here and him do it from Wimbledon as well. That's a first for a Tweener Head Tennis channel exclusive. But I hope you guys do enjoy this interview. Make sure to go show David some love down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think of this video as well. And make sure you guys are subscribed. Over 90% of you, yes, 90% of you that are watching this video right now are not subscribed. What are we doing, guys? We're trying to hit 5,000 by the end of the year. Would love to have all of you guys hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. Now, enjoy our interview with Liam Broady's head coach, David. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time we have ever had someone do a interview at Wimbledon. So, David, thank you so much for joining us today. A very successful day for you and Liam, winning his first round match. Congratulations and welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I really appreciate it. And David, what was the reaction like yesterday after Liam winning his first round?
I mean, obviously I've been here many times before, so it's always good to get the first match out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on Saturday I was pretty uncomfortable. The practice wasn't great, but Sunday he seemed to relax and practice was good, and then warm up yesterday was good. So I was feeling, especially after Sunday, I was feeling relaxed that he was going to come out there and play well. What you never know is what the opponent's going to come with. So I'd say more relieved than overjoyed, because you know, Liam has had a kind of stop-start grass court season. It's not been, I mean, it had a chance to kind of catch fire but didn't, and so it was important to, I think, to get this win under his belt and now have a crack at Christian Ruud, which is a very tasty match, I feel.
What would be your first, kind of looking at that match ahead, what do you think your first piece of advice to Liam would be?
Stay brave.
Okay.
I think if he stays brave, he will cause him a lot of troubles.
And is that a common phrase that you use with Liam?
Well, this year, yes. I mean, we decided at the beginning of the year that one of the key things for him to go to the next level was to, you know, be braver this year than he has been. I mean, he's had very brave moments, but and you know, had some really good wins, but to get the consistency in order to break into the top 100, I felt that a key ingredient was to stay brave all year, regardless of how well or badly things were going.
And for you guys too, as a team, how long have you been working with Liam now?
It's close to 9 years now.
Wow, so you've kind of seen the progress ever so often every year.
Yeah, I mean, when he was 20 and I started with him, he was about 330 in the world, and within 3 months I had him at 150. And then he had a bit of a wobble. I think you know, he was earning some good money for the first time, and he was young and still a little bit immature. So he actually left me for 18 months and then came back when he was like 440 in the world. And he said, I regret leaving, and I'd like to do it again. And I needed to see that he was deadly serious about settling down and really doing the work for the longer term. We had a trial period, and I was convinced that yes, he can. So it took a while to get him back to.
Excuse me. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Are you subscribed? You're not? Please hit the subscribe button. Would very much appreciate it. 90% of you that are watching this video right now are not subscribed. That makes no sense. Hit that subscribe button. Turn those notifications on. Now, back to the interview.
Like 150, then he had another sort of little wobble because, people always talk about the fear of failing.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, the fear of success is actually greater.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll just explain a little further, because
please.
Kind of failing is something that and it's all relative. I mean, at 150 in the world, you're not really failing.
No,
but if you have ambitions for higher, obviously you can't see it as failing. Whereas all players can get comfortable at a certain ranking and fear losing that ranking,
mm-hmm.
and therefore aren't brave enough to take the next steps because it's uncomfortable, and at every level to go further, you need to basically, obviously improve and get braver. So the best players in the world are the bravest.
And when you talk about it like that, there's because we don't have you for another hour, which I would love to have you for an hour, to talk about the mindset.
We can do this again sometime.
I would love to do this again, but kind of going to that mindset college of yours, and there's one topic that you use of utilize positive conflict. That's what's resonating right now with what you're talking about with Liam, because just from the title of it, and you could probably explain better, with a positive conflict, you have such a good ranking. It's not like you're just starting out. You're 150 in the world, but now you have that inkling of, I really don't want to lose this. And the more you don't want to lose it, the more you are more likely to tense up.
Yeah, well, basically, I think a little switch goes.
Okay.
And the switch changes from playing to win to playing not to lose. And the moment that switch happens, you're in big trouble, because fear then becomes a greater part of the game. And don't get me wrong. I mean, Novak Djokovic has fear. Every player has fear.
You wouldn't think it, but they do.
Yes, and the best players in the world have learned how to manage it, their fears and doubts, the best, and they use their tools, and they're brave enough to do the things that they know they have to do. And this is where the bravery comes in, to do the things that you have to do when everything in your body and your mind is screaming, no, be safe. And they go, no. I need to serve and volley this point, or I need to take on the second serve, or I need to, take the ball a bit earlier. And that's where the bravery comes in, because, often, it's easier to fall back to safety.
Yeah.
And I speak to young players a lot about this, is if you fall back to safety, there's a chance you will win because of it. But the problem with that is you're not going to win at higher levels, So, whether you do the right thing or the wrong thing, you're going to win and lose matches.
Yeah,
that's guaranteed. So you may as well do the right thing, because at that point, you have a chance to do winning and losing at higher levels.
So what would you say to a junior to get them to that next level, from having that ability to you can be successful, but this is what you need to do to be at that next level.
I think this is where good coaching comes in, because you can't ask people to do things that their competency level won't support. So if you say to a junior, you need to go to the net more, and they are very, very unsure of their volleys, and really, don't feel comfortable at all with their volleys, then you're asking them to do something that is outside of their competency level.
Okay.
So you need to really work at the volleys and get them better, as an example, until they feel very comfortable at the net. And then you can talk about, look, you need to go forward more in matches if you're going to win at a higher level. So, I do see this, and parents can often be guilty of this, is not understanding when the competency level is not good enough.
Okay.
And inexperienced coaches sometimes, where the competency level is not good enough, trying to force kids to do things that they actually can't do yet. You can't say to somebody, you need to drop shot this player, when they've barely ever practiced drop shots. Because whilst it might be the right tactic, it's not gonna work if you don't know how to drop shot well.
Yeah.
So it's the fine, the mental toughness in tennis is a very fine line between competency and then using that competency to do the right things, rather than using it to kind of be safe.
Yeah. And that comes with repetition and practicing, not just what you're good at, but also what you're not necessarily weak at, but what you need to improve. And I think that's one of the things that I feel like a lot of people miss.
Yeah, I think, look, everybody has areas that they're a little weaker than others, but if you have aspirations of being a really, really good player, the best players in the world today don't have any glaring weaknesses. They have weaker sides or weaker areas, but they can still play that.
Yeah.
And it's not like they, just go to their, just slice low to their backhand and I'll miss every one. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But on a big point, if you can get the slice in there, then there's a chance that you'll suck the error.
Yeah.
So I think a player needs to feel comfortable in every area of their game, because if they're trying to avoid something because they're so uncomfortable playing that shot, you can bet your bottom dollar that at some point lots of players are going to find it.
Yeah.
So if for players, you need to really lean into the place on court that you hate, that you really don't want to be there. And you need to practice that enough until you actually comfortable and feel like at worst you can manage that. And at best you get pretty good at it. But I mean, if you feel like if somebody finds this, I'm done, then you're going to play with a lot of fear, because people will find it.
Well, that makes me think of how players are able to disguise their weaknesses, right? Because it's not just how they can get away with certain shots, but it's the way they can use their weakness to then expose their best weapon. And I feel like that disguise really does show, at least on the pro level, on those higher levels, they're able to disguise it to the point where they get away with it because people think they're just good at everything.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, my definition in my book, Locker Room Power, I talk about everybody needing at least 2 weapons. But in terms of the weaknesses don't have to be unbelievable, but they do have to be good enough to give you a chance to use your weapons. And sometimes a weakness can be a real strength, because, for instance, if as an example, Stefan Edberg, I don't know if people remember him, but had a weaker forehand.
Mm-hmm.
Rafter the same, kind of a weaker forehand, but the forehands weren't terrible.
No,
they were just weaker. And the thing is, when somebody had to say attack, they then had this doubt in their mind, because do you attack if your normal pattern is to attack the backhand,
mm-hmm.
and you suddenly think, I need to attack the forehand of this guy, you're breaking your own pattern. When you break your own pattern, that's a risk.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, let's say you do break your pattern successfully, and you attack that forehand, and the guy hits a winner off that forehand. Now what do? It's like, wow, I've gone to that forehand to win the point, and I've gotten really badly hurt. So sometimes the weakness can really be a strength. I mean, a famous one really was Richard Krajicek, who I actually did quite a bit of work with when he was 14, 15, 16. But he was supported by the federation, and his coach there decided to change him from a two-handed backhand to a one-handed backhand, which he did.
Yeah.
They were paying the bills. And that one-handed backhand was poor. I mean, and when he started with it, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a good two-hander, a really good two-hander. I couldn't understand it. I mean, the reasoning was, he wouldn't have the same reach with the two-hander, and maybe he wasn't going to be the quickest guy on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is he had a good slice backhand anyway, so the reach thing just didn't
it didn't
make
work.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, obviously he won Wimbledon, and soon after he won Wimbledon, we were sitting having a coffee, and I said, Richard, because I fought tooth and nail to keep the two-handed backhand, but I lost that battle. And this really shaped my coaching somewhat. I sat with him, I said, have you ever wondered what you would have achieved in tennis had you stuck to the two-handed backhand? Because it was a good shot, and the one-hander, I know you won Wimbledon, but that fortnight, that flat backhand happened to go over the net more than into the net. And he said, Dave, of course I've wondered. And he said, I think I would have been, 30 or 40 in the world. I went, really? I said, explain. And he said, well, you know how bad the single-handed backhand was. He said, and I was competitive, and I decided to see what I could do with my game and how I could win with basically a non-existent backhand apart from the slice.
Mm-hmm.
They said what I had to do was serve and volley, because I didn't want to be on the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
I had to run around my backhand loads and really crank the forehand, because if I didn't and they could find my backhand, I was in big trouble. And I had to get to the net as soon as possible. And he said, what that did for me was made tennis very, very simple. I knew what I had to do. And he said, that suited me. And he said, I know myself, with the backhand, with a two-hander, I would have had too many options. And I think I would have always sat in that in-between place of, do I attack? Am I attacker? Am I a counter puncher? I can rally, and he said, I think that overall, whilst there was a much better shot, it wouldn't have made tennis easy for me. And mine was a very simple game plan. Don't let people get to my backhand. And if I did, I had to, slice and try to stay out of trouble there and get round and hit forehands. So there's an example of somebody that you talked about, really managing a weakness and being able to find a way to win with a shot that was never that great. But of course, it did improve as well. I mean, it wasn't, again, the same thing. It wasn't like just hit to his backhand and he's going to miss.
Yeah.
Or you come to the net on the backhand, he's not going to make a pass or a return. it got to a place where, he could still hit some pretty damn good backhands, but it was, in the overall scheme of things, much weaker.
And for him too, it seems like that key to simplicity is overlooked, I feel like, in tennis. And I feel like this will be the last topic before I let you go, because I know you're a busy guy. Simplicity in tennis, I feel like, is overlooked because they see how well-rounded a lot of people are in the professional game now. So when it comes to dealing with doing one or two things really, really well and playing to their strengths more instead of trying to be perfect at everything else, it seems to click easier for players, at least at the pro level, than it does at the junior level.
I mean, you look at someone like Maxime Cressy. He has a game style, and it's very, very simple, and he knows that that's the way he's going to get his best results. So he never deviates, win or lose. And over time, I've seen how much he has improved his game style. I mean, people talk about, A, B, and C game plans. I totally disagree with that. You need only one game plan. And if it's not good enough, get better at it. Because if you think about it, if my A game plan is not good enough to beat your A game plan, and your A game plan happens to be, I don't know, more counterpunching or whatever it is, and I feel like, oh, I need to now change to a different game plan to beat you. Well, hey, will I have practiced your game plan as much as you? No way, because it's not my game plan. So you then switching to something that you don't do that very often, and then it's in a way arrogant to think that my C game plan, which I hardly ever practice, is going to beat your A game plan. It doesn't work like that. So within your game plan, of course, you can have different tactics. I mean, you can come in on slice, or you can come forward on more to the middle, or you can come in on shorter, or you can counter punch with a lot of spin, or and make people make volleys or whatever. Within your game plan, there can be tactical changes, but you really do have to stick to your game plan. And if you don't, then tennis will become very confusing. Like you said, the simplicity is knowing what you do well and put that on the court. And if it's not successful, even with tactical changes, you need to get something better somewhere. And if you come off the court and go, you know what, if my backhand down the line was better, I think I could beat this guy. So go and practice your backhand down the line, rather than think, oh, well, I need to play this guy with a totally different game plan. Because now you're practicing what? Three different game plans all the time. I mean, think of the time wasted in practicing so many different things. Get better at plan A, whatever that plan is.
I really do like that, David. And I wish we could talk about this more, but I know you have to go. So guys, if you did enjoy this conversation, please go and check out David on his Twitter, on his website. Check out his books. I believe your bestseller is The Locker Room Power, correct?
Yeah, it's Locker Room Power. It's available on Amazon and on Audible. So and then I have an online program called Mindset College. So, and obviously you can find me at mindsetcollege.co.uk, or obviously Twitter or Instagram, or all of these things that young people know a lot better than I do.
Or every social media platform ever. So guys, thank you again for checking this out. Really appreciate David for coming on and talking to us. Good luck to you and Liam for the rest of the tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
Thanks, David.